Thanks for checking out this movie review video. This is for the 2025 release Monster Island. It's a Shudder exclusive and it's coming to Shudder on Friday, July 25th. So this is a no spoiler review. So this one is written and directed by Mike Wiluan. Tried the best I could with that name. Also did Buffalo Boys, Motel Maladi, and Operandi Garhana. I have not seen any of those films. So if anyone has, let me know. Put it in this not description, in the comments. Let me know in the comments and how those films are. This is kind of a collaboration film. So it was shot in Singapore, it was shot in Indonesia, in Japan, and in the UK. So kind of all over the place. A lot of travel involved with shooting this film. So there are subtitles at times during this film, but there's also English language at times during this film. So if you are a person that kind of needs to know that going into it, if you have a problem with subtitles, there are some subtitles. Now that said, I think this is also kind of a film you could just watch without paying too much attention to the dialogue, because it feels kind of familiar. This is a film that isn't super groundbreaking. It's not super unique. The time period it takes place in and what's going on is kind of unique for that aspect. But this will feel very familiar to a lot of people. They're like, oh, I've seen plenty of movies kind of like this before, but I think it does a pretty solid job in what it is doing. Again, Shudder exclusive, coming Friday, July 25th. So quick synopsis, this actually, yes, exactly. I don't know why my computer does that, but it's fun. This takes place during World War II, and it primarily focuses on an American prisoner of war and a Japanese prisoner of war who are being held on a ship by Japanese soldiers. The Japanese individual is a traitor. So the two individuals end up washing ashore on this secluded island after the boat is attacked, and actually a pretty good action sequence, honestly, before the title card of the film. And then they make it to Monster Island, basically, and you can probably guess what goes on there, but basically it then focuses on these two individuals who are set up in a very good light as these are, the good guys in the situation, and then them having to survive together on this island. But first they need to, earn each other's trust, basically, because they don't really know each other yet. So that's kind of the synopsis. I don't want to go further than that because I don't want to give anything away about the monsters on the island, or if there actually are more than one monster on the island. But with a name like that, you would want more than one monster on the island, because that insinuates a whole island of monsters. But you'll have to watch to find out. So let me talk a little bit about some of the notes. I did think the setup was pretty interesting, and it makes you think that there's actually going to be some sort of important subtext that they're going to try and throw at the end of the film. I don't know that it was all that enlightening or super important with any sort of subtext to it. They do try and hit you a bit in the feels at times with this film, while mainly in the ending, but I don't know, it didn't super work for me, and I think part of it was because, like I was saying before, this is a lot like a bunch of films I've seen before, in a way. So nothing super new there. There's a pretty good action sequence before the title card, like I was talking about. I really did like the way that was pulled off, and part of it was the CGI looked pretty good, and it was one of these things where they were very smart with how they were doing the CGI, making it kind of dark with the sequence that they were having the CGI in. That really helps kind of smooth out some of the potentially rougher edges with CGI if it's not like top tier, like, a Marvel movie or something like that. They actually don't wait too long to introduce the monster, but it's kind of just a tease in the beginning. You see it kind of quickly. You don't get a very good look at it at all, and then it's just kind of gone, and it disappears for 25 minutes at that point. And it's really like the 35-minute mark is when things really start to ramp up. Prior to that, it's just kind of setting up the scenario. What world are we living in here? Who are these characters? Them getting to know each other and trust each other. And then at about the 35-minute mark, it's like, okay, now we can kind of move forward and see where things are going to go and have some fun. That's where the real fun ends up kicking in. But the situation of the main characters does make them quite compelling, and the fact that they are kind of forced together. But I will say how the individual characters themselves are written and how they're acted is fine, but the way they're written isn't super compelling. They seem like stock characters you kind of seen a million times before. It's just more about the situation they're in. That's what makes them more compelling. That's what makes them more interesting. So I do wish they were characters who were maybe a little bit more unique, had a little bit more depth to them, honestly. They did try a little bit, but, you know, they're not like completely static, flat characters. But I just kind of wanted something a bit more to make me, you know, even more interesting and interested in them, not, you know, them as people, not just their situation. But still, it worked relatively well. Love that 35 minutes in, things start to ramp up and it's in pretty fun fashion. When you finally get a good look at the monster, it does look pretty solid. I was happy with the design. I was happy with the way it looks. I mean, this isn't like a super high budget film, so it doesn't look like it's like, oh my gosh, it looks like this, it's a real creature that exists. No. It definitely looks like a suit, but a pretty good looking suit, honestly. And like I said, the actual design of the creature looking pretty good. And you also see exactly what the inspiration was for the creature. Again, not going to give anything like that away, but as soon as you get a good look at the creature, you're going to be like, immediately, people are going to be like, oh, I know exactly where the inspiration for this was. There is some nice gore in it. Not a super large amount of gore, but there is an okay amount of gore, and the gore scenes that do happen are relatively fun if you're a person who's big into gore like I am. I think it's always fun to see these practical effects pulled off in fun fashion. The shooting locations look amazing. Now, I will say, like a cinematography standpoint, it's not the best shot film. It's not bad. It's not poorly shot at all. Like, it's very competently done. It's solid. It's just, there isn't a ton of style to it. There's nothing that's sticking out that's gonna make you be like, man, this looks great, or this shot super well, or the framing of this is phenomenal, and the camera movements are great with this. No, it's one of those styles that where you're just like, okay, it's got the job done, not bad at all, decent. But the shooting locations make it look so much better because they pick some really beautiful locations. And it's always cool to me when in films like this, it's kind of like something terrible and tense and dread-filled that's happening in a place that's otherwise super beautiful. I always love that kind of contrast. And it's on full display with this film, so I love that aspect of it. Obviously, there are some other areas of the island that they take you to that are kind of darker and more, creepy atmosphere. But for the most part, it looks very beautiful. And I think they did a very nice job of kind of showcasing the beautiful terrain where they were shooting. Even though, knowing it was shot in all these different locations, it's not one island, which is kind of funny to think about, but because it's presented as one island, but it's many different locations to kind of cobble together this island. Things I think about when I watch films. So about 45 minutes in, there was something that happened that I wasn't expecting, and it made me feel a little bit more intrigue with the film, and I was hoping they would go further down this road in a different direction than they did, and I was like, oh, this could get really cool. Alas, it didn't get as cool as I thought it would. It was just kind of like a thing that I don't really know why they did it at that point. I was just like, okay, I don't know. But it made me very hopeful. It pulled me in a little bit more, and then it kind of let me down a little bit. Not terribly, but... and then the ending is decent. It's not the best ending ever. It's not a bad ending by any means. It's decent. It's a decent ending. I did enjoy this film overall. I don't think it's anything phenomenal, but I would say go ahead and check it out, especially if you're a creature feature fan. I think this is a solid creature feature. I think it's definitely worth watching. So yeah, I would give it 3 out of 5 stars with half stars in play. So this is where I would love to hear from you, especially if you've seen the film. Go ahead and put it in the comments. We could talk spoilers in the comments. That's totally cool. Do me a quick favor, hit subscribe to my channel to help support me. Hit the thumbs up on the video to help me with that YouTube algorithm. You can also hit the notification bell button if you want to see my videos when they become available. That'll notify you. And then also, if you are interested in getting a little bit more involved with the channel, getting some perks with my channel, including badges when you comment, which are, I think they're fun looking. and early access to videos that I'm putting up, sometimes months in advance. And then at the top tier of memberships, which I have 3 levels, you get videos that no one else is going to see. They're kind of like a little more personal. Actually, some of them I'm doing are going through like pointing out some hidden gems in my collection of films back here and kind of making those recommendations. But then there's also stuff about, some life update stuff, weird things that I think about, and some things about my cats. So yeah, you can check that stuff out. But anyway, thank you. Regardless, thank you for your time watching this film. I appreciate that. And until next time, keep it brutal.